This video is to demonstrate some of the features of using GitHub for Windows and GitHub web interface, and how to deal with merge conflicts if you have multiple people working on the same file and they inadvertently create a merge conflict. So to demonstrate this, I've set up a simple situation. I have created a team with 2 users. It's called Movie Lovers, and I have 2 of my own accounts, Nolte, Florida. And then I created an empty repository called Movie Lovers, and I gave it to access to it with read and write access to both members of the team. So now I'll put a file in that repository. There's no files in there yet, so I will create a file, favorite movies, and then I'll create a list for the Nolte account. Let's see, Empire Strikes Back, Back to the Future 2, and Indiana Jones Temple of Doom. And I will go ahead and save this file to the folder where I want it to be. So in my GitHub folder, I've got a Movie Lovers, that's my repository. I'll call it Favorite Movies List, and I'll save it there. Then from my GitHub for Windows client, I can see in my Movie Lovers repository that I have one uncommitted change where I added this file. So I'll put added Movie Lover avid favorite movie list. Commit that file. That's a local change or local commit. I haven't synced it yet, so I'll sync that to the GitHub for GitHub website. I can go to the GitHub website and I can go to this repository, and once it's synced up, we can see that that list will appear, and there it is, favorite movies list. Now over to my other account, my Nolte Florida account. I can see that I have the Movie Lovers repository assigned to me in the organizational account. So I'll clone that so I have a local copy of it. It'll make a Movie Lovers folder in my storage location, and in that folder will be the files that are in there, including the favorite movies list. So if I open up favorite movies list in Notepad++, I can see what was put in there. So I will add to this list, I'll add my own list of favorite movies, or Nolte Florida list. So we'll say Return the Jedi. We will say Back to the Future 3, and we will say Indiana Jones Raiders, and save those changes in my GitHub for Windows client. If I open this repository, it'll show me that I have an uncommitted change because I added to that file. So I will make a commit, added my favorite movies, and I'll commit these changes. I'll sync those changes so that they get up to GitHub and back to the GitHub online. If I take a look at this after it syncs up, I now have those changes there. And back to my first account, if I look for changes to this repository, I will see that I am behind one commit. So I will sync And once it downloads those changes, it'll show me that I have no local changes. It'll show the changes in the GitHub for Windows client, and it'll ask me if I want to update it in Notepad++, and it'll show the changes. Now, if we both change, if I change the same thing in the file or the same location in the file in both accounts and then try to sync them, that's where we're going to have some merge conflicts. So I will make changes here on this. I'll say, I'll change Temple of Doom to, I'll agree with my compatriot there and say, yeah, Raiders is better than Temple of Doom. So I'll make that change and I'll save it. And then I have uncommitted changes. So I want to change agreed on Raiders and commit those changes. Now, before those changes have been synced to GitHub, in the Noti Florida account, if I would say Raiders is way better, and then I save those changes here, and I commit those changes, comment on Temple of Doom, and I'll commit that change. Now I both have commits on both accounts, but they're not synced yet. So in my nNoti account, if I sync that file to the master, it'll push those changes up. And looking on the GitHub website, we can see that if I refresh the repo and I look at that file, we can see that it's changed to Raiders here because that's the change I made. Now if I sync from the other account, it's going to try to change the same line, which it's not going to like because it won't know what is more important to keep. So as it tries to sync, it'll say failed to sync this branch due to unmerged something. There's a merge conflict. So I'm going to have to open a shell and work out that merge conflict. So I'll click on open shell. But right away though, I can actually go into the client and I can see that there's some indicators that there's a problem. I'll go to the text file as well because when I reload that, it'll actually show with some indicators where the merge conflicts are. These indicators are a universal indicator within Git to show when you have merge conflicts. There's 3 less than signs and then the word head, and that will be what the most recent committed version on GitHub is, and then 3 equal signs and below that will be what I'm trying to commit, and then 3 greater than signs with the comment that was being made with the merge with the commit statement. So what all I have to really do is change that right here, and then I'll be able to save that, and I can change it to whatever I want. So if I just delete what is in here, and you have to go and delete all of those extra characters that were put in. And if I want to put that comment, maybe I say, I totally agree. Actually, before I save this, I'm going to show you in the shell that it tells you, gives you some guidance of what to do. If you run git status, Git is the program that it's using to keep track of changes and status, then it tells me I'm currently rebasing branch master. Rebasing means that this is the default way it will sync in GitHub for Windows. It means that before it actually tried to merge or before it tried to commit the changes, it went to see if there was any conflicts or see if there was any changes to the code that I was working on, and there was, and that's why there's a conflict. So I'm in the middle of an attempt to rebase. So it says fix the conflicts and then run git rebase continue. use get rebase skip to skip this, use get rebase abort to check out the original branch. So I fixed the conflicts. So I want to make sure I save that. So I've made my changes here and I press save. Then back in the shell, I just type get rebase continue. Actually, before I do that, I have to add those changes I did. So it says no changes added to commit. Use get add and or get commit a. Let's just try get rebase continue, and it will say you must edit all merge conflicts and then mark them as resolved. So a way I can mark them as resolved is use get add, and then this period will be all changes. Now those changes are set. Now I can run get rebase continue, and it will apply those changes that I made. I can close this now, and back in my GitHub for Windows, it has now resolved those changes. It shows me the changes I just most recently made. It says I am one commit ahead, so I need to sync that. Once that file is synced, I can also see the changes online. So it's now changed to Raiders, I totally agree. And with my other account, I can now sync to pull the most recent changes, which is now going to be one commit ahead of where I last stopped. So I can sync that. And now taking a look at it, I can see that that change is applied. In my Notepad++, I'll refresh the file, and that file is now changed as well.